Hey everyone, Average Jen back with you. Let's move on to episode 3. Episode 3. Alright, let's see if I remember how to do this. So, share screen. And is this it? It is. Let's go back to the beginning of this episode. There we go. Are we ready for a little bit of intro music? Awesome. And
Woman as part of your tapestry.
oh,
There's dirty spots.
oh, that's not right. That's not right. Let's try this again. Nope, go there. There we go.
Describe what recovery is like. And kind of like,
I must not have had an intro to this one. All right, let's try that.
so I was thinking about a way to describe what recovery is like. And kind of like what a 12-step program is like. So I come up with this analogy because when I was in grade school, we used to put on these plays. And there was this one particular song that has stuck with me from childhood. And the name of the song was One by One. And the story behind the song was that there was a mom who was interviewing women to be her son's potential wife, and all of them were at the same social status. So the mom wanted to get to know each of them better. And so she devised this plan and excused herself to go make a cup of tea. And while she was making the tea, she had asked each of the women individually, not at the same time. They were there at separate times. Anyway, she asked each woman if they wouldn't be a dear and help her unsort her knitting yarn.
Unsort.
She loved to knit, and I guess that yarn gets very, very tangled inside a knitting basket. Anyway, the point being, the first lady, she couldn't do it. She got all mad and frustrated and she just cut up all the string. Well, that's no good. How are you going to knit with cut string? The second woman, she just got frustrated and she was sobbing and she just left. She was embarrassed. And then the third lady, which became the wife of the son, anyway, she was humming a tune and just gently taking out the knots one by one. And that kind of reminds me of what recovery is. Kind of like the whole basket of yarn. Well, the basket itself, the basket is kind of like our body. The yarn inside the basket is our soul. And the tapestry or garment or whatever's being woven from that yarn, that is our past. So we have our body that's our body. And so we carry this basket with us because our body, our soul is together. Past, present, future. You get the point. So if I'm carrying this basket of yarn around, I want to protect it. I don't want to hand my basket or my life over to another person. I want to be protective of it. And the yarn that's inside of there, I want to keep it clean. I want to keep it looking nice because that is the yarn that's being used to weave like this blanket or tapestry or however you want to see it. And that tapestry is what the world can see. And if my tapestry is missing some spots or if it's dirty and it's faded because I didn't take care of my yarn, people are going to see that and I'm not going to feel very good. So, with recovery, the first thing is you have to admit that there's a problem. And admitting there's a problem would be seeing that there's knots there and it needs to be taken care of. So if this yarn is your life, you can't cut the string because that's going to end your life. So there's got to be another solution. Well, the solution is dealing with the problems one at a time and iron it out the best you can. Yeah, the string's going to look a little funky, but it's still being used in your tapestry because it's part of your history now. And even though you solve the problem and it's part of your tapestry, there's dirty spots on there. Things happen and it leaves stains behind. And the only way to clean those stains is with a power that's greater than us. And that's what recovery is all about, is healing our souls because our souls are sick. So if I have my basket and I'm walking around freely having a good old time, and you have your basket of yarn and you're walking around having fun freely, we can go wherever we want, right? What if I'm trying to control what you're doing? Suddenly, my yarn becomes entangled with yarn from your basket. How far are we going to be able to walk away from each other if we're connected like that? Now, what if these baskets are connected with other baskets? Like, let's say I'm involved with my mom and my siblings, my coworkers, my church people. If I'm meddling in all these lives, I have string and yarn that's everywhere, and that's not good. How am I going to move? How are they going to move if they're doing the same thing? This reminds us to stay in our lane and keep the focus on us. If we're busy worrying about everyone else, we're not going anywhere and they're not going anywhere. People need to be free. We can't control anyone else. We can only control how we think, feel, and react. We can influence other people, but we can't control them. And that's a hard concept a lot of people have to deal with. We try to manipulate things all the time, and then we get angry when things don't work out the way we think they're going to work out. We drive ourselves insane, and it happens to everyone. It's not just alcoholics, it's the families and friends of people who have succumbed to some kind of addiction. And addiction isn't necessarily the fault of the person, because addiction is a disease of the mind and the body. So not only is there this compulsion within the mind to keep doing whatever this is that you're doing, there's the physical addiction to it as well. Kind of like, well, with alcoholism, an alcoholic metabolizes alcohol differently than a non-alcoholic. And one drop or sip of alcohol will trigger an allergic reaction, and that will produce a craving for more of the same substance. A non-alcoholic doesn't have this, and they don't understand. They don't understand the craving. They don't understand the desire. It's like jumping in bed with a monkey. You're done when the monkey says you're done. And that's how alcohol is. But it affects everyone. And we need to learn to just take care of ourselves. It's hard watching people go through stuff like this. You want to step in, you want to save them, you want to rescue them. You don't want them to get hurt or face the consequences of their actions. But honestly, I think that's the only thing that can wake someone up. My mom told me, of her experience growing up, and yet I made the same mistakes. I wasn't a very good mom. I was 18 years old. I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't mentally prepared. I don't think anyone is mentally prepared to have a child. So I wasn't a very good mom. I wasn't a very good role model. There's still some animosity there. And I'm sorry, I can't change anything. Then later in life, I had two more kids, and I didn't want them to hate me. I was just in a dark, dark place. And I didn't feel loved by anyone, including my husband, including my kids. I was so lost. And so I went back to church. I started looking for God, and I couldn't find him. He wasn't there. I ended up leaving. I walked out. It still haunts me. It wasn't an easy decision. And in my bad to the thinking, it was because I didn't want them to grow up feeling like I hated them while living in the same house with them. I think that's the feeling my oldest child has because I wasn't very nice. Didn't know any better. It's so hard to be a parent, it really is. But I walked away because I felt that they would be better off without me in their lives. I know that's messed up thinking. It's not a cop out. It doesn't excuse anything. And believe me, I've paid the price. There are some things you just can't replace, and time is one of them. So all I can do is be a better person and be a better parent now. And that's what I'm learning how to do. That is what recovery is teaching me. And it is a slow process, it's a hard process because my kids are older now and they're very busy with their own things. So, for divorced parents out there, sometimes you have to give the other parent some slack. There are reasons they do what they do. It's not always because they're selfish. They don't know anything. They don't know why they do the things they do. I didn't know why I was feeling so out of touch with everything. I didn't know that my soul was sick. Nobody thinks about that. Hell, even the dictionary defines it as something that's not important. A soul is very important. A soul is the reason why there's so much dysfunction in the world because we are all sick and we don't realize it. So when we come into recovery, we start making a path towards like an awakening, sort of. I don't know. Not really a higher plane of existence. It's just such a freeing thing to kind of clean up our past and say, hey, you know what? I didn't do that on purpose. It's not like I tried to be a mean person or a bad mom. I wasn't trying to do that. I did the best I could with the knowledge I had at the time. And the same with my parents. They did the best they could. My dad isn't on earth anymore. I didn't know very much about him. He left probably, I think I was in the second grade when he left. But I didn't have much of a relationship with him. I didn't have much of a relationship with anyone in my family when I was a child. I think I became invisible and I just stayed that way. I never felt like I was important. Like, before I had left my husband, I had written something like I was feeling like a ghost. I felt like I was there. People could see me, or maybe they could see me, but I didn't matter. I didn't matter to them. I didn't matter to anyone. And I think that's kind of like what hell feels like. That's what depression feels like. But you know what? It was all in my head because people do love me. But for some reason, I couldn't feel it. I couldn't allow myself to feel love for some reason. And I still struggle with it. I'm working on it. Like I said, I'm pretty new. And there is hope. There's hope for me. There's hope for anybody who seeks recovery. And I think with that, I'm going to stop talking.
And it goes on to the next episode. Where did I go? Here I am. All right. So let's stop sharing the screen. All right, now I can hear a little bit better. And I don't know really. I really don't know what to say. Yeah, so that was the third episode. All right. We'll see you next time.